You know, in episode 0, I didn't read the
Hello, everybody.
the pre-scripted thing. I
You
hadn't
should,
written it yet.
We should just roll into it then.
Yeah, you think we should just take it easy and casual today?
100%.
Yeah.
Is this the start of the episode?
Yeah.
I think this is
It's
the
already
start of the
started.
episode.
Okay, yeah. This is the start of the episode. Hey, everybody. This is Mike Cripps. You know me by now. I have been your game master for the past 46 episodes of Escape the Dungeon's Scum and Villainy campaign. I'm joined by the players of that campaign, the player who played Crash, Zach Brass,
Hello.
the player who played Gorpheus, Dom Brass,
Let's go.
and the player who played Cypher, as he loved to remind you at the start of episodes, Nate Brass.
That's me. What's up, internet?
Somebody should make a graph of which episodes did Nate say that and which ones didn't he? Because there's definitely like a good dozen or so. That he
Look,
doesn't.
I think it was helpful at the beginning of the show.
And then at the end, it was
sometimes
just like a
you
thing
want to
did.
forget. Or sometimes, you're listening to the show and you're like, what were the characters' actual names? It's not Flash, right? And maybe you could have reminded them that it's Crash.
I like a little bit of mystery.
As you may have figured out from our tone at the start of this episode, and probably the episode title of whatever we call this, and also because the last episode you listened to was the big finale of our Scum and Villainy campaign, this is a little different.
Yeah.
We are coming at you here to do a little bit of a retrospective / review of Scum and Villainy and the Phoenix 13 campaign. It's going to be a little loose. We're going to have some fun with it, but it's just 4 friends sitting around talking about games. Leave a review, check us out on YouTube, all that
5 stars.
good stuff. 5 stars. But let's just start talking, guys. I guess let's start with Scum and Villainy. Thumbs up or thumbs down? You've played it for a long time now. How do you feel about it?
So I just want to clarify saying that I had played 2-ish sessions, I think, of this prior to this. And I think maybe that's probably the same for everybody, pretty much. Like, we barely played this, like a couple test games.
Barely played it, yeah.
Nate had run one for some of our local friends here, where I basically played Cypher, not knowing that he had already planned out Cypher. And except I wasn't French. Unfortunately.
Which was a huge bummer,
and
and it was way less fun.
Yeah, big bummer, but, I even had a rival racer.
This is the best rival choice.
It's so good, yeah. So, but, just that said, no real experience, and I haven't even really played, much Blades in the Dark, a couple sessions again. So I'm not really familiar beyond just a little passing familiarity with these systems at all, especially because they are a little bit more complicated to start with. They get very easy, but the initial kind of it's very different. And there's a lot of little mechanics with your flashbacks and just the way the roles are so different from a lot of other games. That it did take a little bit of an adjustment to really kind of understand what I was doing. But that said, huge thumbs up.
Oh yeah, two thumbs up. It did take us a minute to figure out that we don't have to ask for every single detail of every single room to figure out what we can do. But once we kind of got past the fact that it's wait, maybe I just get to decide the thing. I can do that, right? It started to make a lot of sense, and it's just an easy flowing game. It's just it's easy to have a lot of fun with it, I think.
Yeah, I love Forged in the Dark. I think Blades is so good. I don't love the setting
Of
Wow.
Blades in
and
the Dark.
so yeah,
Oh,
Blades in the Dark.
yeah.
And so seeing this game, I was like, "Ooh, this looks so fun," and it is. I loved it. I loved just like going off and being like, "Okay, Mike has given me these crazy drones attacking me. I want to try and hack them and turn them into Mario Kart shells," and just that working, and it's cool. Mike, what did you think?
You know what? I really did enjoy running this. There are some things that, you know, I don't love about this game, but you know, they're pretty nitpicky observations. Overall, I think this is a game that really accomplishes well what it is trying to do. Like, there was never a moment in our campaign where the fantasy of sci-fi bounty hunters in like an underworld really faltered. Like, it never felt like I needed to push the game to be more than it was. I think it nails it pretty much, what it's trying to do.
Do you think it helped that we picked the bounty hunter crew? Because that feels like a very like easy one for this system of just like kind of go for it. You're bounty hunters. You're doing crazy shit. What do you want to do?
Well, I think that both the bounty hunter and like the smugglers are easy. Like very easy. Definitely hard mode is probably doing the rebels, but like honestly, it's probably not that bad. Like you can do a variety of styles of missions, you know, as rebels. It just takes maybe a little bit more of a united kind of like plot.
Yeah, probably. But also like, if you guys had chosen to be the smugglers or the rebels, I would have, you know, tailored the job offers you got and the factions you interacted with, you know, more towards those things, right?
Yeah, and we would have played different characters. So
well, and
for
like,
sure,
totally. But I mean, you know, one thing that is nice, obviously, about the bounty hunters, and I think the smugglers falls into a similar category, is that at the end of the day, you're actually just dudes doing a job for money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's never a doubt of like, well, what are we gonna do next? Because like the answer is hunt a bounty, you know?
Yeah, but even just like beyond that, actually, I would say like a lot of our jobs weren't just hunting a bounty. They weren't even related to like just the heist that we did with the race and everything. It was simply like, well, okay, yeah, sure, we're bounty hunters, but like we don't have a problem going and doing this.
No, yeah, I think rebels being tied to a cause changes sort of what has to happen in that narrative, as opposed to if we're just guys doing a job. It's like, I don't know, we have to do the job at some point, and we were doing that pretty immediately and consistently throughout. So
And I think, you know, there's a lot of overlap in what a bounty and a smuggling job can sometimes be. You know, obviously not all the time, but
yeah, I think vaguely they feel very
I
related.
mean, the biggest difference is really structural, right? Bounty hunting is bring this to us. Smuggling is take this somewhere. So
I guess I was thinking more on the sense of like, I feel like with rebels, you're almost looking for the missions in a way like that, like more naturally, that like a way that a lot of other TTRPGs go. Whereas like, I mean, our second mission was like, what if we race this guy and steal stuff from him because he's my rival?
yeah. Yeah, and I love that.
And then our third mission was, these pirates want to steal from us. What if we pilot one of their ships into the other one. Like,
Look, it's simply against our values to allow them to take our stuff without consequences.
I mean, some of our values, right?
but like
Okay,
it
yeah.
took 4 missions for us to do like 2 classic jobs of like someone offered us a bounty and we were like, that sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that. I mean, inevitably, like, obviously the crash thing, which was cool the way we did with, like, the rules for the, you know, overindulged vice.
Yeah.
Like, making that into a mission. Like, that was not something that, like, I had asked for or anything. That was just Mike thinking, oh, well, you know, you guys already have this pre-existing relationship and this could be fun.
Yeah, let's not go too deep into like the story specifics just yet. We'll get to that, absolutely. But I do want to talk more about like the system here for a second. Do you guys feel like the system was successful in like helping you do these kinds of classic jobs, helping you feel like bounty hunters? Was it successful for you, I guess is my question.
For me, yeah, I actually really like most of my role-playing experience prior to this is more tactical stuff. I think for all of us, you know, done some more you know, general things, like we played some masks, but like really not that many more role play based systems, and like certainly not like in such a long campaign where you really get like a full feel for the system. And it was actually really nice and refreshing. Like, not that I don't love tactical games, you know, I like pulling out the battle mat and like trying to kind of tweak my build to like be broken and stuff.
Yeah.
But
so
like,
were you like missing that in this game?
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was still really fun. Like, in its own different way, it felt like, you know, rules on collaborative storytelling. It felt a little less gamey. It felt like I could kind of do what I want. Like, sometimes when you're playing more tactical games, you know, you're in a situation, and of course different GMs will play things differently and everything, but like there's a little bit more of a general vibe among most groups to sort of be a little bit more strict on the rules in those things. And if an action isn't outlined that way, you know, sometimes it's harder to really kind of do some of the cool, crazier things that you kind of want to do if, you know, like in those kinds of systems. And this was just, you know, a refreshing kind of like, you know what, let's like let loose. In case you didn't notice, we were a little bit crazy.
But do you feel like the game, you know, encouraged that and fostered that and, you know, gave you the freedom to do that?
You know, one of the things for me is that like little bit of fail upwards mentality of the game. Like, yeah, okay, stuff got crazy and dangerous, but like it's not even a problem with tactical games because it's inherent to the style and it's still fun in its own way. There's a lot of positives to be had, but like, you know, a bad roll in a tactical game, a lot of the time just either doesn't help or change anything really for the most part, or like kind of basically just makes it so that you aren't going to be able to do a lot. Like, probably in the future, you know, you have a lot of crowd control type abilities, like stuff that like stuns you or paralyzes you, and it's like, oh, my bad roll now, like it's a saving throw that now I just can't do anything for the next 3 turns, or like, oh, I missed an attack and it just doesn't do anything, you know?
Yeah.
And that's fine, really. Like, for me, in general, like, those types of games are still fun, but it's a different kind of fun. And sometimes you just kind of want to get a little bit more, like, loose with, like, I want my dude to, like, just, like, do this crazy thing and see what happens.
I think the beauty of this game and, like, similar games is they're not rules light. They're, like, narrative rules focused. And so it's
I
like
think that's a really good way to put it.
Just enough actions that you can kind of do whatever you want to do, but like the actions are kind of specified to set the vibe of like, this is the kind of stuff you're going to want to do. And you're like, okay, out of this list, I'm going to be really good at this couple things. So that kind of sets my character idea up. And then like this whole game, like it pushes for that kind of crazy character a little bit more, because it's like, all right, well, what's a character that's going to be comfortable in risky and desperate situations? Because they're going to be in a lot of those. And so I feel like it kind of like draws you into making this swashbuckling crazy character and having a lot of fun with it.
Or even a character that's specifically not and uncomfortable, and it pushes them like narratively, like
yeah. And then that's like an easy like play. It's easy, fun character to explore.
Yeah, exactly. Dom, you got any thoughts?
Oh no, I mean you guys were kind of killing it there, so I was kind of letting you guys go.
All right.
Well, let me talk about like I said, I've got a couple nitpicks about the system.
Okay.
And I'm curious if maybe you guys feel the same way, or if these are maybe more just because of, you know, I'm sitting on my side of the GM screen here. First thing, I don't really love the skills, like the specific skills that this game offers. And, you know, there's a caveat here where, you know, maybe if I had been GMing in a slightly different style, or I had changed up some of the jobs that we did, you know, I might not have felt this way. But towards the end of our campaign, I was sort of feeling bad for Dom in particular, because I feel like Doctor, which was a skill you wanted to be good at from character creation, was never particularly useful.
Yeah, that skill was kind of trash. It was kind of nice to have, like, in the interim sometimes, where it's like, oh, actually, I'll heal Captain Crash because it'll be more efficient.
Yeah, like you could do it during your downtime, right? But
yeah, and that was a cool option to have. But yeah, on the job, it was kind of useless.
It seems like sort of an unintuitive thing to have, and I think that can maybe lead towards almost feeling bad for having invested in it. And same with like study. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 study roles across the entirety of our campaign.
With a different character, I would have used study as one of my most.
Yeah,
like I think study would have been a good action. It just wasn't Cypher's way.
Right.
No, I kind of think
we were
the
just
same. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the skills maybe couldn't have been a little different, because there was some stuff that was way vaguer than other stuff too. You know, I mean, I guess I don't know. I kind of agree. Maybe the skills weren't perfect.
Yeah, the you know, most of them are fine. It's just like a few in particular, especially when you compare them to like Blades in the Dark.
Yeah.
So the Blades in the Dark skills, I think I actually like slightly more. And one of the reasons for that is, so in Scum and Villainy, there's really just the one like offensive skill. Like you're punching,
Yeah.
you're shooting, you're rolling a scrap roll.
I agree with you.
And so that makes it feel a little samey when you get into like firefights, in my opinion. Whereas Blades in the Dark, you've got like, I forget the exact names for
I think
these
it's
skills.
Hunt and something
you've
else.
There's at least 2, maybe 3 that are like explicitly fighting skills. Like it might be scrap still or brawl or something like that. And then there's also Hunt. And I think that gives it a little more variety. It maybe gives your flavor of your character a little more specificity when you can build it to be like, I'm a sniper character compared to I'm a fisticuffs character. But again, that's a pretty minor thing. The other thing that I'm curious really to get your thoughts on is the progression system. How did you guys feel about like tracking XP and
okay,
all
so
of that?
at first I didn't like it, genuinely, but like after playing it for a while, I liked it. I had no problem with it at all. It took a while for me to feel that way, though. Like I would say, keeping in mind that we played a lot. Now, granted, our sessions are really probably like half an average real session,
Yeah.
So like 46 episodes, really it was like 23 sessions, maybe even less, because some of them were shorter. And like that even depends on your group, like some groups are playing like good 4-hour sessions, probably even most. But like I would say overall, I can see the problems with it, and it's definitely a hard system to adapt to. But like I was by the end of the campaign, I was liking it, because we were in lots of desperate situations, and it is kind of hard to deal with. The big thing is that, like, it's tough for me with the whole, like, just vague, you randomly level up now thing.
Right.
Or not level up. Not even randomly leveling up. Let me rephrase that. What I mean is the whole, like, have you guys, like, indulged your vice, or like lived to your, values,
have you
shit.
Triggered any of these specific XP questions?
It made it like difficult to track, like when are we supposed to level up because of that, I guess. Or when are we supposed to get that experience? And it is hard to remember as a player at first about the desperate rolls too.
I felt that particularly with your like crew/ship level.
And I forgot about that.
The crew level up was hard, especially because we weren't being traditional bounty hunters. I think the character level up, I liked it's a list of like 4 different questions, and so it's like as long as you stay true to your character, it's easy to get 2 to even 3. I felt. Pretty much every time.
Yeah, especially because you guys get to decide that, right? It's not up to me whether you role played your character well enough to get XP. It's you decide if you were true to your characters.
Yeah, be an honest player, bro.
But what if the players around you aren't honest players and you're a very honest player,
Are you trying to say something?
No, what?
The only other thing, and again, like I do want to be very clear here, I really like this system. I think it's great. I would love to continue playing this game forever. I'm gonna miss playing it each week. These are just a few small pain points, a few small frustrations. And this one is truly nitpicky in that I'm only thinking of 2 to 3 very specific moments in our campaign where it just felt like you guys could not fail a roll. And
Yeah.
and I felt like my hands were tied in those moments, because like by the book I can't give you consequences, but consequences are like what keeps the game rolling. And so I sort of had to make a judgment call of, you know, if you succeed without consequence 2, 3, 4 times in a row, is that just kind of the end of the job? Do you just win?
Yeah, it would
Yeah, I
really
totally get what
there.
you're saying.
It would get there where it's just like, oh wow, we're just crushing this.
There was a couple times, but like I would say, it felt like every time we felt like we were on a big roll, then a bad swing would happen.
Yeah,
and like
100%.
several bad rolls
And
would happen.
That's why I said it was really just like 2 or 3 specific moments where I just wanted so badly to do bad things to your characters, but I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I'm of a mixed mind about it, because there was a period where I kind of thought I agreed with you, but like I've been kind of looking at it, and I felt like it always kind of swung around where it, more often than not, there was a couple of times where it felt like we killed it. Like we could do no wrong for a bit, but like more often than not, it did swing around, and the job did eventually become really desperate, even if we started off or had like a middle period
every
where
time
we were amazing.
Oh yeah.
It would be like, oh my God, at one point shit has hit the fan, and now we have to deal with that.
It
really
did balance out that we would objectively just do stupid things sometimes, because it's like, well, dude, we're doing fine. We keep getting 6s, bro. Let's do another study check, dude. And it was just a lot of that, like the early study checks where we're like, you know, still fucking around with the system. And I'm looking at study. I'm like, oh, I haven't used this at all and never intended to. But here we go.
I'm not 100% sure if Crash ever used study.
I think we definitely made a lot of jokes about it early on because none of us had any study.
Do you guys have any more thoughts on like the system itself before we get into more campaign specific stuff?
I really liked downtime.
Yeah.
I feel like the harm was a little harsh. I don't know if like maybe like doing like medicine, you can do like a medicine check on a job to like delay a harm where it's like you still have to get it taken care of, but like for this mission it's
maybe it's like lowered
something.
by a tier for the mission. Yeah,
The harm system was pretty brutal.
I see what you're saying, but I personally would say that it felt like everything evened out, because I kind of agree that I do think as the campaign goes on, the you are just like super likely to get a lot of 6s. I mean, when you're rolling 3 die or 4 for most rolls,
Yeah,
or
especially
a lot
when
of rolls,
you start, pushing yourself and taking devil's bargains and getting
gambits
aid and
and
your
like
gambits and your bonus abilities that give dice. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, we're often rolling 3 or 4 die almost every time, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you're not gonna get a 6 every time, but you're gonna get a 5 or 4 or 5 at least most of the time.
yeah,
I think this is all legit. I will say I feel like during the campaign, Nate, one, he couldn't get Gorpheus the doctor to help him out, so that's a pain. And 2, we got injured a lot. Cypher, like every other mission, had his leg blown out, and that's assuming he had the time to like patch it up. You know, if he didn't, he might just have 2
half the time he
blown-up
just
legs.
didn't patch it up, and he's just like, oh yeah, it's still broken from last time, guys.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
And
feel like
Gorpheus,
that
don't
was
break
the
my other
harsh
leg.
part. Was it's really hard to fix, especially early game,
because it eats up eats up so much downtime.
because you have to manage stress as well. And so it's like there needs to be another way to, I feel like, deal with those harms.
Well, and what I was gonna say is we never really like, okay, so like the way the game ends, is that like our stash is supposed to like represent how well we do in life, right?
yeah.
Like we didn't really obviously like end
You guys
it
didn't
like
keep
that.
anything in your stash.
Oh no, we did.
I think I have some stuff.
I had 0.
like 2.
That's basically 0. Like the way the game measures that was is by how many complete rows of stash you have.
Yeah.
So the game sort of expects you, I think, to be putting a pretty significant amount in there. And I thought that for the most part, I was pretty generous with the cred payouts I gave you. There was definitely like at least one job where I was like, no, it doesn't make sense for you to get a ton of money from this. But you guys...
But there was so much stuff to spend it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing it was a short campaign, it was like, but we're never going to get photon cannons if we don't spend all of our cash.
I think that's a good point, because, like, you know, what do we say? This probably represents like somewhere in the region of like a 15 session to like 20 session campaign, which is, you know, like,
which I think is pretty reasonable. For what I think that's probably about what you could expect a campaign of this to be in a home game. I did speed things up a little bit in that I reduced the number of jobs you would have to do for a particular faction to increase status with them. So maybe in a home game it would go a little bit longer than that, but I don't think too much.
Well, in that in mind, I do feel like then we were strapped for cash the whole time. Because we didn't even give the pirate. So you expected us.
What?
Okay, you told us after that you just expected us to like either pay the pirates or like, you know, not pay the pirates.
I thought that was fine.
So let's start talking about campaign specific stuff, I guess. We can start with the saga of the Dusk Knife, which I think for all of us was one of our favorites. First off, totally unplanned. You're right. I did not think when I introduced the pirates, trying to extort you in the middle of downtime, right? I did not think that was going to turn into a full job. In my mind, the outcomes for that were pay the admittedly ridiculous amount of creds that they were demanding, or tell them no. And I thought I had made it clear, maybe I didn't, that they were like in service of another pirate. They were in service of Thorn. And so like the idea that I had was if you guys said no, they would be like, okay, well, Thorn's gonna deal with you then. And then they would go away, and you guys had like broken engines at the time. And so I would have started a clock to see if you could repair the engines and get away before the pirate reinforcements came. But you guys decided to just
take it into our own hands.
Yeah, I think we misread that a little bit. I think we saw two options. The options were we can kill them or we have to pay them all our creds. I knew the other guys wouldn't pay the creds, so we were just in a pickle, you know, because I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fight two pirates.
I had just earned the title of greatest racer in the galaxy, and I think I was on top of the moon. I was cocky. I think we just started the thing with Razor, the bet. And so I was like, let's fuck somebody up. And then these pirates just demanded money. And I was like, we should fuck them up, guys. They're not even the bad pirates. That's the ones that would come later. These aren't the scary guys. We can definitely fuck them up.
Yeah, it just seemed like a terrible idea.
It just felt so within our characters to be like, well, we got to take care of this.
Yeah, I mean, it just worked out. It was just appropriate.
That was one of the two moments that are in my mind that I was most surprised by what you guys did. The other one, Dom, this is specific to you and to Gorpheus.
Let's go.
Is you accepted Noro's deal when you encountered him in the mutant
that surprised me
Kraken.
too.
Yeah, I probably should have fought it a little bit, but yeah, I had to. I had to accept.
I really thought that, that was going to be another Gorpheus one-on-one fight. You seemed so keen on doing those. But no, you literally immediately accepted the deal.
I know, I really did.
Yeah, it was kinda
I could have
wild.
fought it a little bit, but it was just such a good deal. I was like, I could definitely figure this out. Like, he's just gonna give it to me, and Cypher's back there riding a centipede. I can't just leave him there.
Dom's just such a pragmatist.
But in retrospect, I'm really glad that you did, because then that led to, you one, I think, in a way that led to deepening Gorpheus's relationship with Lasaya, which was so fun.
Oh, yeah.
But also led to the ritual episode, which was another one of my absolute favorites of the entire series.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that
I
one.
super loved that. I legit getting to interact with Cypher with the way was like, yes, let's go. But it did get, quickly overshadowed. And Cypher did not let me forget that. So that was fun.
I mean, you chose her over us every time.
So I want to talk about the whole Jerry situation.
The whole Jerry situation.
I love Jerry.
Obviously, purely
Rest in
coincidence.
peace, Jerry.
I don't feel bad.
Yeah, Jerry was a good guy.
He was an okay guy.
It was crazy rule though. Like, honestly, love it. Super exciting. Like, okay, yeah, don't get me wrong. Didn't really have the time to plan Jerry out, but he was fun.
We could tell. What?
And I'm not gonna lie, when I first read that rule, I just assumed that Nate was gonna be the one to enact it.
You're referring, of course, to overindulging in your vice and choosing the consequence that your character just goes on a bender and disappears and misses
Correct.
the next job.
Correct. This is a mechanical thing in the game here, guys. You literally just make a new character and you're like, yep, this is me for a job. And the consequence really obviously being that you don't gain experience, but like, honestly, is that really a consequence? It's fine. But yeah, so Jerry, that was fun just to like have to like mechanically be like, I guess I should have brought this up on mechanics, but I guess it's kind of both,
For sure.
Mechanically having to like switch to a totally different character. And of course you have the choice, but like it felt so appropriate in the Cove to have Crash disappear.
Yeah, it was perfect. But I think even that rule like works like narratively so well, where it's like the game's centered around such a tight-knit group that it's just like, okay, now let's force someone new into this group and see how everyone reacts. Let's change it up a little bit.
And like, it's one thing about obviously these long campaigns. We all love to roleplay, and I'm gonna desperately miss this campaign. This Scum and Villainy campaign genuinely is one of my favorite role-playing campaigns that I've ever played. But like at the same time, you get the itch to play more characters.
You do. You definitely
So
do.
do you think you should have overindulged more often?
Well, look, Crash was captain. He had to be there for most of them, I felt like it was perfect. I personally, and like, I felt like Crash was a great medium, like as a captain, like to kind of just like, like enable the story for the other characters,
I thought so.
Yeah.
Not that I want to toot my own horn or anything, like Jesus Christ, but like it was just Crash was fun to play as like the captain that's not really the main character, like
Dom, did you have a moment that you consider like the most surprising or unexpected that really sticks out to you?
So the first two things came to mind. Kulak. I hated that joke so much back in like episode fucking 4 or whatever. And then
With
just bringing it back like that.
Diesels.
Yeah. It was the stupidest thing. It was the dumbest, stupid Van Diesel boa joke. And then you just brought it back, and it just totally shattered my mind. Especially Cypher and Crash start simping over him, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he like supposed to be super smart. It just felt weird, like, because the joke in there is just so much funnier with the layers that added on. It's like, I've already shit on this joke. Now these guys are simping for him. Also, he's a very intelligent doctor. Doesn't that feel weird? And it's just like it came together. And then the other thing, and I don't know why this surprised me, it was just kind of that moment of like when you're watching something and you're like, fuck yes. Because it was when we went to the snow planet, and there was a giant shark yeti, and then a bunch of crazy psycho mutants. And I'm like, oh yes, there's monsters in this. This is awesome. And that was very much, yeah, because like, you know, you just sometimes you're like, oh fuck, monsters are in things sometimes. Hell yes. So
I'm with you there, Dom. My favorite stuff is like weird horror, you know, stuff like that.
Gotta love it.
And so the agony, every moment that they were involved was a true pleasure for me.
Oh yeah, honestly.
I got to just indulge my own vices with those.
It was so great. I was so happy when you were explaining like the centipede lady. I don't know. I go back to her. I really liked her. She was dope.
I liked the Kraken.
Nate, I think I know your favorite surprising moment. I'm going to take a guess here, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Chet Cyberpatch.
Oh, loved it.
Good pick.
That I don't think is his most favorite survivor moment.
He was like, no, I planned this the whole time.
No. Nate's favorite surprising moment was when he got served.
No, I think he expected that. He expected that.
I mean, those were the two moments I thought.
Served.
Those were the two moments I thought of. To be honest, it's hard to choose. Choss is just Choss. I mean, I think my favorite NPC, just what you created in that sick mind of yours.
Choss is one of my favorite NPCs too. Definitely up there.
I was laughing every time he was on the screen, and you just kept bringing him back at those stupid times, and it's like, yes, this is perfect. So I think probably getting served, because like I wasn't expecting it, and then it drove us to just be like, let's do this crazy race, and it kind of like informed, this is what this game is to me in a way.
Well, and to me, the race arc it felt like the real first arc, you know? Like, you watch a cartoon or an anime, and like that first arc, it almost feels like just like a pilot.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Figuring out what their role is, people's voices change.
It was multiple episodes, you know. But yeah, exactly. Especially in like animation and stuff like that, you often see those like big changes in like kind of like the characters, the way they speak and everything, or like all of that stuff. And the race arc felt like this is like the real first arc, you know.
It definitely felt like we hit the ground running there and really got things going. It just, I don't know, it was just fun. It kind of fell into our laps, and then it was just funny because like Nate's like, I don't even know what to do, and we're like, dude, we should have a race, bro. That'd be sick. And and he had no choice but to go along with it. And it was just a good time. Except the whole backup heist was a terrible idea. Like, the whole plan was great if we just left it. But then we were like, no, we have to do an extra heist. And all we managed to do was got a stupid bike that we never used and
Classic
got someone
motorcycle.
murdered. It was terrible.
Hey,
Classic
Yeah,
Phoenix 13
We made
edition.
friends with Bobby O exclusively because of like us doing the heist, or like he was super down.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
he
gonna
was
lie, it
so
wasn't
down.
exclusively because of that, but like he was mad down for it. And you know, really at the end of the day, it was your poor rolling that
No, yeah, it's all my
yeah,
fault.
and then we get the
Yeah.
return of the chicken guy. Like, oh
Oh
such
my
a
god. I still
That
feel
was so
so bad
good.
for
so
him.
good.
The Rock is one of my favorite
Actually, I do
characters.
love The Rock controversially because he is a cannibal and we all hate him for that, but like, fuck.
But like, goddamn, he was
He's
just
such a cool dude.
a delightful cannibal.
God
Yeah, but
damn,
it
is
was
he
just like
charming.
he's a cannibal, so it's not really cool.
Like, we would have all been like, okay, we could just like be your friend instead
If
of
he was
this
just a regular
asshole
criminal,
Thorn.
Like,
If
but
you
no, he has
weren't
to
a
eat
cannibal.
just like if I felt so bad having to betray the little chicken guy again, but it's like,
I was
dude,
so
he's-
happy we had to betray him. I thought that was hilarious.
It's just I had no choice. Okay, he's a bad guy. Okay, I don't feel too bad about it.
Though the Chet Cyber Patch, what a great surprise of Mike just being like, this guy needs a hug and he's crying. Like, hilarious.
Biggest complaint of the campaign, he should have come back.
You guys could have called him in on the last
No, you're
job.
totally right. You're
We
totally
shoulda-
right.
we
It's
shoulda.
not just your fault. I'm not blaming you.
But it is partially your fault. You didn't do the voice.
It's partially, yeah, you do the voice.
You could have just
But
started
like,
doing
I'm just
it.
saying, like you know, it would have been so good. I mean, I guess like I don't even know why he likes us. Like, we did ruin his life a little bit more than it was already ruined.
Yeah, but we rolled pretty
Um,
good.
But you also gave him a second chance, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? Look, I'm willing to take it. Like, I like to be a goddamn optimist. You know, like it's for me. You know, I like to think that we really like turned his life around, and he's like, you know what? I'm a happier, more zen person because of these fuckers.
I mean, because of
You
Cypher,
know?
yeah.
I hate him, but I love him.
I mean, Cypher has that
Um,
effect on people, so that tracks.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect Cypher vibes right there.
Any more big or favorite moments that you guys feel like calling out?
In general, loved all the pirate shit, obviously. Just in the world. I think you nailed it with a number of the NPCs. The Rock, Bobby O. Bobby O is a classic who somehow has not come up.
Our nemesis.
Yeah, obviously all of the nemesis. I don't know how planned that was.
How planned was that?
But it didn't feel planned. It didn't feel planned. It hit me. I'm just
It was
like, how
so
did I not
natural.
notice?
When did you realize
Like-
Razor was the
Right? I'm like, wait, what? Razor's my nemesis?
Right?
When did that happen? Which honestly is kind of perfect for Crash and Razor. Like, right? Like,
No, yeah, I mean it's like fundamentally
Crash
just
realized,
true.
if anything, Crash is bummed. Like, oh, what? Razor's my nemesis?
Yeah.
I wish I put that in the thing, but like,
God, I really should have been
You know?
making connections, man.
yeah, like, come on, this guy.
I felt like I had something with that one guy, the centipede lady at the. I keep bringing up the centipede lady. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Crash is just like, oh, damn, we shouldn't have killed the Rock or sent him to jail. He could have been my nemesis.
Oh, that would have been a
He's
good
cool.
nemesis too.
We weren't even there for that mission.
Yeah, but you know what?
No, that's so true.
Yeah, I know.
He wasn't there.
Totally true. And he still wishes that was the case.
That's also true. Yeah.
Look, the problem is like Razor is just completely disrespected by Crash and the whole party, which makes it perfect.
Well, his catchphrase was, "I'm gonna eat your bones." What a freaking
so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean those guys were just great. Razor was top tier, dude. It was just funny. his saga.
Dude, it just felt so funny. Like, I don't know how I didn't notice that there was like these weirdly dumb perfect foils for all of us. Like, the only one that was like, I don't know, I guess you had Dom's guy. What was his name? What was your rival's name again?
Bra Rahim.
Oh yeah, okay, your bra. Oh, obviously. Our bra Rahim.
Right, yeah, that was just the oh, not your bra. Our bra Rahim.
Our bra Rahim was obvious, like, but it all, like, I don't know, didn't feel obvious at the time, you know? Like,
well, yeah, we didn't know they were gonna
It
do
was
a
just
team up.
Mike
Just like-
beautifully being like, these 3 like scene stealers are all going to come up at once, and it's like, what? Our favorite villains? Our favorite
It
recurring
helps when
villains?
you guys are just always constantly so dismissive of these characters.
it was our party's vibe. We're just like,
immediately like, no, I don't respect you.
Okay, I was
dude, our party thinks
ready.
it's way cooler than they are.
I mean, let's go back to literally episode 1 of this campaign when you met with your contact on the planet Akiti. He told you about Razor like as a resource for you guys to use.
Yeah, I remembered that.
He was like, yeah, there's this hunter that knows all about these monsters that you're looking for. He can probably help you. And you run into him and you just immediately trank darted him.
well, because that was our plan. Because pretty quick they were like, "Oh, dude, he'll just do the tracking for us, man. This is perfect." And then I don't know, it just all fell into place. He went down from 1 trank dart, and then I was fully prepared to be afraid of him next time we saw him because I'm like, we got lucky, but they just were shitting on him, and he kind of took it like a nerd. And
yeah, and then you did the bones thing, and it was over for him forever.
yeah, that was it. It's like you gave him a shitty catchphrase. It's like, oh wow, this guy does suck.
Okay, well, this guy.
And it was just like,
this
yeah,
guy
now I'm
sucks.
gonna keep making fun of him until he gives us a reason not to, and he never
But
did.
you know what? Isn't that the perfect foil for fucking Crash?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
like,
right?
Crash is such a nerd too, but like he thinks he's the coolest.
And just the fact that it goes back to the stupid time Crash got lucky and just one hit KO'd him with the trank dart.
yeah, it's like, look, Crash is just Razor if he was way less lucky.
Oh, that's actually true. I like that. Just to think, it's like legit. Only difference: Crash just very lucky. That's it.
Before we end this episode, I think we got to talk about the grand finale. I mean, how does everyone feel about that last job and everything that happened? And did it live up to your expectations?
Well, I mean, look, honestly, I could have just kept playing.
That's not a helpful answer.
Yeah, it's not. I could. Well, I'm not done yet. You know, interrupting me. Jeez, GM. Like, you know, you think with all the complaints you make about me interrupting you.
Zach, all I'm gonna say is I'm pretty sure you've had like a third of the
Yeah, I was gonna
speaking
say,
time of
for
this
like
episode.
That's
45%
generous.
Well, I have a lot
time
to
right
say.
here.
I have a lot to say. And yeah, it was fine. I mean, it was really fun. Like we got everything resolved, but like it is hard to end a long campaign like that without like it's always hard to really end a campaign like that, a long campaign.
Yeah, I think you kind of brought back everything you needed to, and then you even hit us with the post-credit scene, which resolved extra
yeah.
stuff. So that was nice.
Loved the post-credit scene, you know,
That's
teasing
cool.
us.
I love just the final job. I thought it was awesome. We got a boss fight. We got like a full ass job. And then, you know, it was just cool. I got to die, like become a spaceship.
I loved you leaning into how unseriously we took our rivals. Like, you could have been like, no, they're gonna be like really serious, like a hard time for you, but then you just let Cypher shoot Choss in the fucking knee immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so glad that he did that, because then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We just fucking just chopped
like
off
I in almost all cases, I want our foils to be the awesome rivals, but in this particular case, it was perfect.
Well, yeah, so there's, when I GM, there's absolutely times where I'm like, no, I am setting the tone of this, and you guys have to meet me at this tone or suffer the consequences. But then there are also times where I am fully following your lead. And I think with all three of those characters, Choss, Razor, and Yerbrow Rahim, that's what I was doing. I was letting you guys decide how seriously you were going to take them, which in turn influenced like how serious of a threat they actually were. All that good stuff. And I think the way that each of them resolved was basically perfect.
I thought that was great, actually. Fucking just says stuff that just when you started going off as Joss, like, it's okay, I don't care, I didn't even want to get talked to. I didn't want to have like a final conversation. I'm like, fuck yes.
Overall, I was really happy, not just with the final mission, though obviously I really liked how it played out, but I was really happy with this campaign in general. I do agree with what Zach said earlier. This is one of my favorite role-playing experiences just in general.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, I think that this campaign was one of my favorite role-playing experiences, really. It just like and it's partially just the whole job, the system, but it was just, it felt like I got everything I wanted from that type of game.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Yeah, I think that about covers it. Nate, anything you want to add before we sign off?
I had a lot of fun with this, guys. Thanks for letting me play a crazy robot and just encouraging every crazy idea that I could come up with. It was a delight.
Yeah. I think that covers about everything we wanted to talk about. Listeners, if you have enjoyed this, please check out Scum and Villainy. It's a game we all highly recommend. Well reviewed, thumbs way the up in the air.
Way the up in
100%.
the air. Guys.
Eventually, if we're cool and famous, we might actually have an official rating system. But like, this is a good one. On. Let me tell you,
that's like top priority.
This is a definite good and out of 10.
Shut up.
Solid good.
But just because this campaign is over, don't unsubscribe. Don't, decide
I
that
swear
you're
to
done.
God, it's going to be more fun.
We're taking everything we've learned from this experience and we're going to keep going with it. Next week, at our regularly scheduled time and channel, we will be uploading something.
Yeah, probably like a session 0 is my belief.
We will
talk about the next
later.
game. It'll be either a session 1 or session 0. We haven't decided yet, but there's gonna be something, I promise.
Find out next week.
There will be a season 2. It is coming right away. No breaks, no hiatus. Just escape the dungeon into your ear holes for as long as we can possibly keep doing this, because
until somebody gets bored. And it depends on who, because, you know, let's be real here. If it's Dom or I, you guys will just replace us.
This is, and I do want to end this episode by just saying thank you to everyone who has downloaded and listened, subscribed, checked us out online, you know, everything.
There's probably at least 100 of you.
The support that you guys have shown us has really blown me away. It's more than I thought was possible. And we want to keep growing. We want to keep doing this. We're going to have some news for you soon, if not already out by the time you're listening to this, about some other things that we're going to be trying out. But in the meantime, stay tuned. Escape the Dungeon will be back. Season 2, a brand new game coming at you very, very soon. Thank you for listening to Escape the Dungeon. Escape the Dungeon is created by Dom Brass, Nate Brass, Zach Brass, and Mike Cripps, with editing and original music by Tyler Nate. If you enjoyed this show, please consider subscribing and leaving a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. To find us on social media, go to escapethedungeonpod.com.